Yeah, it's great that you had done all the biogeometry already in your home and you did as much as you could yourself. And then the tower comes in, which plays nicely with it. It
Yeah,
says, like,
that
oh,
was the
great,
other
you've
thing.
done
Yeah.
that. So I can take it a level higher, it says.
Mm-hmm.
Same with like the water. You're doing all your structured water, but what
Mm-hmm.
about the water in your food? What about the water in the air? One of the things the Cosmic Tower does, it's the same for the water in the air. It cuts those structures up.
Wow.
So basically, your air gets better. You're breathing in electrons now. And then your food that's in your fridge, the moment the food gets harvested somewhere, within 8 hours after it's disconnected from Mother Earth's battery, it loses all of its charge. So the beauty, and then it gets transported for a long time and exposed to EMF, which breaks the cluster structure of the water down.
Yeah.
By the time you get your nice organic apple from New Zealand or
Yeah.
Mexico or
Yeah.
wherever, what the body needs is not in there, which is the charge,
Yes.
right? And the Cosmic Tower, it does it to the air, but also like in your fridge. I don't know if you've noticed, like any vegetables or fruits, whatever you have, it just tastes better and they just have more energy, like when you pick them off a tree and eat them directly.
Yeah, that actually is something I've noticed because I was already into the concept of using subtle energy to harmonize foods,
Yeah.
particularly food that is stored. So I actually built my own essentially biogeometry charging trays, but like large versions that are in my cabinets. And I had experienced food that just tasted better and it would last forever, which was really interesting. Since I've gotten the towers, the new thing that is really cool is that when I'm cooking, like it is evident that the aromas, the smells, the tastes, they're rounder and more rich. So it's happening in real time. And also my refrigerator is not set up with any subtle energy stuff at all. And the food in the refrigerator is keeping longer and tasting brighter. I don't know a better way to explain it, but it's kind of like a brightness, um, uh, as opposed to dullness. So that toroidal field that the towers are outputting must be circulating through there and helping re-energize or correcting the spin of the atoms,
Yeah.
on a maybe they're starting to spin counterclockwise and it corrects it and spins them clockwise, so they're accumulating energy and accumulating life force instead of spinning it off. um so I should actually measure that with the pendulum. I bet you it's like a noticeable difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Like go ahead and measure it. And that's one of the things the tower does. Many people that are focused on just the physical layers and stuff, they're like,
Mm-hmm.
well, but how can it resolve EMF and then foods and toxins and geopathic stress? Well, because if we go to the subatomic
Yep.
layer, it gets really simple, right?
Yep.
If it's counterclockwise, right? It's detrimental, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a toxin, it's an
Mm-hmm.
EMF, it's whatever you want to call it.
It's an
When that
electron
spin change,
stealer. Yep.
yes, exactly. When that spin simply shifts again, it's resolved. And then that doesn't mean that the physical substance might be gone out of the water, but it's
Yes.
deactivated, right?
That concept is very challenging for people who are just getting started with structured water or working with harmonizing subtle energy. I just had this conversation with somebody yesterday who was asking for advice on structured water, and I actually recommended to him. I said, hey, you know what? I own pretty much all the devices you can get, at least in the US, or quite a few of them. You'd be better served just to get a cosmic tower and park it in the middle of your house, and just take care of everything at once. And he was asking about structured water, and I said, well, you kind of like, and he was a little new to it, not super new, and he could feel some energies and stuff. But I said, look, it's when you structure your water, it's not a filter. So the physical components of whatever you're trying to neutralize is still in the water. However, you're overriding the information, or you're clearing the information, or harmonizing the information that it carries, which sort of started to click. And then I said, look, like maybe I'm dating myself here, but like, you know, like a floppy disk, or like if you have a USB drive, that's like an electromagnetic interaction of information, right? And so you can delete old information and put new information on it. So if you want to really simplify it, that's sort of what you're doing with structured water. It's obviously a very crude analogy, but that sort of seemed to click home with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Because in the end, it's all light. You know, like people are like, well, what about foods? Well, what are foods? How do foods created through photosynthesis is basically light. Then your body unpacks again into light.
Yeah, food is, I think it's who said, is it Dr. Cruz?
Jack
Cruz
Cruz said that it's a
it's
barcode of where you're living of the light.
Yeah, like, the light is like, food is essentially like solidified light.
Yes,
which
exactly.
is yeah, it's amazing. And I love that. I still love the explanation you gave me about the light, because I remember reading about the cosmic tower, and I'm like, man, how does this, like, I understand there's this European tradition, and they speak of horizontal, vertical green, and you know, all this stuff, but what is that really, like, what, you know? And then the way you explained it, it's just the higher octaves, it's the overtones and the harmonics of it. So it's like the pure distilled subtle energy essence of that color, which is really cool, that the tower was designed to contain all of those, but yet with no overlap.